Another year, another 115 or so skins added to League of Legends. Good lord. If you want to see all of my reviews, every single one in chronological release order, there is a 2-hour and 45-minute compilation video available on my channel that you could put on to, well, fall asleep to, statistically, or else maybe have it running on a second screen while you're doing homework or playing video games or something. And honestly, I am perfectly happy to be the purveyor of your second screen content. It is the second highest honor a YouTuber can aspire to. If you just want the highlights of the year, though, the cream of the crop, the best of the best, we can do that a little bit faster. Despite Riot's best efforts with their gacha slop and almost deranged determination to stuff as many skins into Spirit Blossom as humanly possible, 14 of those in 1 year, Jesus Christ, it has actually not been a terrible year for skins. Looking at the scoreboard of my reviews, about 72% of skins got a passing grade and 45% of them ranked above average, which, if I can be petty for a moment, is statistical proof that people who complain in my comments that, oh, he never likes anything, just have bad reading comprehension. Skill issue, I'm afraid. Get good and pay attention. Now, the 3 S-rank skins are obviously going to be the best skins of the year, so they will have to share the first place spot, because that way we can keep the list a little bit interesting. And the number 10 slot might actually surprise you, because it is number 10, Battle Academia Kayn and Rast. So these guys are making it onto the list not entirely on the strength of the execution of the skin. I did grade it with a B in my original review, but it's making it onto the list because the idea is so close to greatness, I can almost taste it. The fundamental idea of making Kayn and Rast not mortal enemies struggling for control over one body, but partners swapping in and out as part of a coordinated battle plan is just simply a perfect idea. It plays with their pre-existing dynamic, which already tap dances on the razor's edge between enmity and friendship, and it subverts their characters a little bit by keeping Kayn the hot-headed, arrogant brat that he already is, but casting Rast as the silent, stoic, level-headed half of their duo, rather than the unhinged murder monster he usually is. Again, the actual execution here is lacking. There is simply no getting around the fact that this needed to be a legendary to pull off this kind of idea. The transformation animation is still a violent killing, it's not a handoff between pals, and the relationship between the two of them would badly need to also be expressed in voice lines to actually work, something which is a lot harder now with the tragic passing of Rast's voice, Sam A. Mowry, in 2024. Still, the idea is so good. It's so good. Battle Academia could have spawned an entire fandom off of the shipping potential between these two alone. I still have to grade the actual skin a B, but in my heart, oh, this is an S. Number 9, Masked Justice Senna. Staying on theme, number 9 is also a skin I graded a B in my review, but which gets to go on the list on the sheer strength of its concept. Masked Justice is a tokusatsu skin line whose main problem is that it just isn't quite brave enough to be quite as cheesy as the franchises that inspired it. These skins try a little bit too hard to be cool and badass in an edgy sort of way, with way too many sharp edges and dour grays and silvers, even despite the playful joy that franchises like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai and Metal Hero and all the rest of them tend to take in the theming of their costumes to animals, insects, robots, ninjas, and all the rest of it. Masked Justice keeps its insectoid inspiration very much at arm's length, which at worst kind of almost comes off like it thinks it's too cool for its own tokusatsu gimmicks. For all of my nitpicking, though, Senna's costume still slaps. Her absolutely enormous gun is the exact kind of tokusatsu cheese that the skin line needs, and the inherent silliness of wearing a mysterious hood TM over a fully face-covering mask is the exact kind of costume decision a tokusatsu show would make to denote a mysterious character who has lost their memory and whose identity is unknown but intriguing. And where Kayn and Rast need a full legendary to realize the potential of their skin, Senna here really just needs a little bit of an update, a slight tweak to the aesthetics to embrace a little bit more of the earnest cheesiness, slightly brighter colors, a slightly more plastic-like sleeker suit, a slightly campier insect theming. A Masked Justice Lucian and Senna pair that takes itself just a little bit less seriously would earn an instant double S rank from me. Speaking of which, number 8, Masked Justice Lucian. Lucian gets to stay with his wife, but in the higher spot on the list, because while he shares with Senna the skin line's general problem of being a little bit too cool for school, he more than makes up for that in just simply being so astonishingly well suited to the concept and the idea. Lucian has his double oversized laser guns already, and the way that he's animated incorporates a lot of very strong, strict, deliberately striking poses of exactly the kind that a tokusatsu hero ought to strike, while dramatically calling out a catchphrase and having a colorful explosion go off behind him. His symmetrical upright bearing, his spell animations, the fact that his ult would be absolutely perfect as a hype tokusatsu finishing move, the fact that he Naruto runs when he is hasted. There is so much about who Lucian already is that fits naturally, beautifully, and perfectly into what a tokusatsu skin line needs. It is a match made in heaven. And let's not forget that Lucian just has got this shit on. He's got it on like he was poured into it. The big sharp shoulder pads, the symmetry, the cut of the coat, the for once restrained use of gold accents as classy highlights. Like, he's not going to walk the runway at Fashion Week, obviously. It's not a suit for an evening at the opera, but for doing big silly fight scenes with dudes in rubber costumes, yeah, Lucian has got that shit on. Number 7. Pengu Garen. The biggest flaw with Pengu Garen, and I will admit it is a pretty serious flaw, is that you can't own it or play it. Pengu Garen was a joke skin, available for free, but only for the duration of an April Fool's event, after which he was deleted from the game, probably never to return, frankly. And yes, in theory, there is a little bit of a visual clarity problem in replacing Garen with a fat little penguin, but I think the game has other skins with clarity problems that are just as bad. Hello, Storm Dragon Lee Sin. And man, at worst, you can just ban it from ranked, Riot. Surely we could have this in, like, ARAM and Swift play. That would be fine, right? As a skin, this is almost the platonic ideal of a joke skin. There is no clever concept, there is no lore, there is no deeper meaning or concept being explored here. It's just a fat little penguin wearing a Garen cosplay. And that's it. He almost falls over his own feet when he spins with the Demacia. He drops a golden spatula with his ult because teamfight tactics, and he slowly charges up for 6 seconds to hit a sick dab for his recall. This is just funny on the face of it. It's cheerful, it's charming, and it's adorable, and you kinda have to have a heart of stone not to find it baseline appealing. No, it's not a masterpiece, and no, it's not transcendent in any way. It is just exactly what a joke skin should be. It is no more than that, and it is no less. Number 6. Glizzy naafiri. The word glizzy is apparently a slang term for a hot dog, but only in very specific places in the US, and sometimes it means a gun rather than a hot dog, which, I mean, no, yeah, actually, come to think of it, that makes perfect sense. The Americans probably also have a word for burger that means assault rifle somehow. As a skin, though, much in the way of Pengu Garen, this is just kind of an obvious delight on the face of it. Naafiri is a dog, and so this skin makes her a hot dog, complete with a sesame bun, ketchup, and mustard markings. It is tremendously silly and an extremely obvious joke, but it's an obvious joke executed with real care and attention. Like, for example, replacing her knife mane with a fan of deathly sharpened pickles. Like, okay, good joke, but look at the texture work on those pickles. Look at the tomatoes inside of the bun, and look at how much painting craft went in to making the buns of her packmates look toasted and brown and delicious. The packmates, by the way, are also just delightful. Any good naafiri skin needs good packmates, and these bug-eyed little freak monsters are just so much fun to watch running around after her. This skin is a demonstration that the difference between a dumb joke and a funny dumb joke comes down to the amount of effort you're willing to commit to making that dumb joke manifest. Some really good artists spent a really long time making this very silly skin look as delicious as they possibly could, and I kind of love them for that. Number 5. Mask of the Black Rose, Renata Glask. Mask of the Black Rose began the year as a little bit of a disaster, being a series of generally rather cheap-looking skins shoved out of the door for Noxus season, fated mostly to pad out a battle pass and be filler content for anyone else who somehow managed to snag a copy of them later. While she was by no means the worst of those skins, Renata Glask did have a pretty bad showing here. Her decanter barely got a chroma hastily slapped onto it, and she herself was given a costume which had, I think, very good ideas, but a decidedly lackluster execution. The lowlight of the whole thing, though, was the truly baffling decision to replace her prosthetic mechanical arm with some kind of magic demon arm, which, first of all, sucks because her mechanical arm is cool as hell and it should be a part of her skins, but it also sucks because the skin was supposed to be kind of canonical. This was supposed to be what Renata Glask would look like if she went to a Black Rose gala, and in that case, where the f*** did she get a magic demon arm? Fortunately, though, bullying Riot works. We should all do it more often and more viciously, and the mask of the Black Rose skins got updated, with Renata receiving a massive glow-up in the process. Her prosthetic now looks mechanical, her decanter looks as fancy as it should for attending a party with the Black Rose, her outfit is stylishly asymmetrical with a gorgeous flower petal shoulder, and her hair is dyed a striking white to contrast the red and black base color scheme. I nitpick that her golden mask vanishes a little bit in her skin tone, but my god, what a glow-up for a skin. And genuinely, what a perfect expression of who Renata Glask is and who she would be when she's filtered through the aesthetics of Noxus and the Black Rose. Number 4. Arcana Karthus. Arcana Karthus is one of those skins that is so tantalizingly close to perfection that I almost want to mark it down just out of sheer frustration that it doesn't manage to get there. With his elaborate headgear and mask, with the caduceus twin snake staff and the executioner's blade swinging from his shoulders, all of it framed by a striking purple that balances out the all too familiar red and gold, Karthus here is almost the perfect version of the tarot made manifest, some kind of eldritch and sorcerous being halfway between a prophet, a priest, and a wizard, plucking the strings of fate according to some unknowable design. It's just missing that one last little thing, that je ne sais quoi, that X factor, that feature that makes it go beyond just being really good. I think giving him a blank mask with arcane inscriptions might have done it, or if he had a single lidless eye in the center of the mask instead of two human eyes, or maybe the thing that's holding him back is that his robes just don't look very interesting from the waist down. It's hard to say what exactly is the problem, but it's something, and that sticky sense of something missing is the biggest flaw in the whole skin. Still, if not for Pentakill Karthus, I think this would straight up be his best skin, because it is a near perfect use of everything Karthus already is to make something which feels fundamentally different and compelling, and that's what skins are supposed to do. Number 3. Elderwood Alistar. Alistar was mercifully spared the indignity of getting that god-awful Grand Reckoning skin this year, which thank God for that, frankly, because I would have had to waste a space on the worst list for that, and that's more attention than that thing deserves. Anyway, the Elderwood skins often play with scale a lot. In the splash arts, the monster champions are supposed to be like the size of buildings or hills, but obviously that's usually kind of difficult to translate into any tangible sense of scale on the actual in-game model. Except, Alistar here actually does manage it, at least if you zoom in on him and pay attention to his texture work, because it is extremely fine, with gorgeously mottled leaves and stonework that make him look sturdy, vast, and overgrown in a genuinely gorgeous way. The muted colors perfectly communicate a cool, mountainous, deep forest vibe, and his horns being the shape of a beetle's mandibles is a really nice touch that makes him feel that much more like an expression of nature itself. I think this is genuinely Alistar's best looking skin, and it might be some of the best texture work in all of League of Legends as a whole. Most skins don't really survive being zoomed in on very well. They are designed to be seen from all the way out here, after all. But Elderwood Alistar is a skin where if you spend some time in the model viewer just looking at him, you will be constantly rewarded by fine details and interesting choices made by artists who really know their craft and their business. Does that make the skin look that much better in-game? Well, maybe not, but I have my biases, and this shit is catnip to the exact kind of pervert that I am. Number 2, Flora Fatalis. Probably the highlight of the year for me in terms of new skin lines was Flora Fatalis, in no small part because it used a design language which Riot is almost pathologically terrified to make use of under almost all other circumstances, because Flora Fatalis is gross. Now granted, it's grossness with more than a few Instagram filters on it. It's grossness that is well formed and which can pass on cursory inspection for pretty, so it's not like this is a return to the days of original ergot exactly. But in an infinite sea of similarly beautiful, similarly clean, similarly appealing looking skins, Flora Fatalis stands out like a lighthouse and presents, I think, a pretty powerful argument that there is value in exploring horror, gore, rot, decay, and freak-ass weirdness as sources of cool skin ideas. I'm giving the number 2 spot on this list to all 3 skins in the line jointly because I think they represent a coherent unity, a spectrum of monstrousness. Soraka is the most human and the most conventionally beautiful. Her fleshy mushroom skin hanging from her torso looks at first glance kind of like a dress, her flower petal wrists look like sleeves, and her fungal hood looks at first glance like pleated hair, while the blotchy pallor of the skin around her eyes could pass for makeup. When you look closer, you realize that she's actually a walking corpse slowly being colonized from the inside out by fungus, but you could be fooled if you're not paying attention. Lysandra, then, is the next level up from that, with her flower petal wrappings passing for a dress, and if you squint and don't pay too much attention, you might be able to see her split open head and the fleshy veins on the petals that fold from her face as a kind of elaborately decorated mask rather than the body horror that it really is. And maybe you'll even miss that her fingers have just the barest hint of flesh tone still left on them, evidence of the body she used to have before the plants took over and consumed her. Finally, Fiddlesticks does what it does best and represents the undeniable, unmistakable, all-out horror monster. There is just barely the upper half of a doll-like face left on it, from whose toothed maw a horrible tentacled tongue slithers and whips. The vestiges of humanity here are like the signal colors of a carnivorous plant drawing in insects, or the lure of a predator, which doesn't need to fool its prey exactly, it just needs you to get a little curious, come a little closer, and hesitate for one crucial moment before you run. Thus, these 3 skins are really just one expression of a spectrum, a demonstration that even if you're doing freaky, rotten, gross, and weird, those ideas can be expressed in a compelling diversity of ways. You can still do pretty girl aesthetics if you want, you just have to add an interesting twist. God, I hope that Flora Fatalis sells well enough to inspire follow-ups, but I hope it doesn't sell so well that Riot kills the skin line by overstuffing it like they did to Spirit Blossom. Here's hoping the monkey's paw don't curl. Number 1, Bowling League Lilia, Ergot the Clogfather, and Spirit Blossom Springs Volibear. Lilia earned her S rank much the same way that Range Shepherd Melio did last year, simply by being a cute, adorable, wonderful, and appealing execution of a cute, adorable, and wonderfully appealing concept. Lilia is here a bowling alley pin princess. Her staff is a bowling ball, her abilities are bowling themed, and she wears a retro cutesy bowling outfit complete with knee-high sports socks and bowling shoes on her hooves. And there's no magic here, no mystery why this is good, it's just a perfect marriage of good craft, a good idea, and the perfect subject to execute that idea upon. The thing that makes the difference between this and, say, glizzy naafiri is that yes, it is a funny, silly joke skin, but it's also just an absolutely perfect fit for Lilia. Her naturally adorable shyness and awkwardness is perfectly complemented here. The vibes are completely in sync. If you were to tell me that this version of Lilia is a character from some furry webcomic, or, I don't know, from Zootopia 3, something that exists entirely separately from the context of League of Legends, yeah, I think I could believe you. It's not just a skin, it's also a fully believable character. Meanwhile, Ergot and Volibear earned their S ranks, somewhat weirdly, in exactly the same way. They know exactly what they're about, they know exactly who they're for, and they commit to those limitations. Skippity Ergot here, for example, is cringe as f***. It's juvenile, it's stupid, it's toilet humor, it's utterly incoherent nonsense. But that's exactly what it's trying to be. It is a shitpost in every sense of the word, a fuck-ass meme joke taken to the perfect extreme. Is this skin for me? No, Jesus fucking Christ, I wouldn't be caught dead playing this in an ARAM, but I respect deeply that it is willing to not even try to be for me. This is for meme lords, this is for shitposters, it's for brain rotters, and for cringe kids. It doesn't need me, and it doesn't want me. This skin has a vision. It is committed to that vision, and I have to respect that. I have to no matter how stupid I think the vision is. And yeah, Spirit Blossom Springs Volibear, even in spite of the very different subject matter, is an S-tier skin for exactly the same reason. This skin is for the horned-up Bara-loving furries. It's for twinks who want to bury their face in Papa Bear's armpits. It's for bear lovers who want a playful wrestle to become a passionate embrace. It's for daddy kingsters who want a gruff voice to tell them that they're doing so well when they, well, you can imagine. It's not for me, and it doesn't care. It knows who it's for, and they know it too. The default mode for League of Legends skins is regression to the mean, the constant chase of the widest possible appeal, the lowest common denominators of cool and skinny and hot and pretty and so on. And when you fixate on appeal to the average is what your skin designs will be. Uniqueness is the antidote. The bravery to speak to a niche even if it will lose you the crowd, that tends to be where the best art will come from. Now, will Urgot and Volibear here move a lot of skins? Will they make a lot of money? F***ed if I know, and it'll be a cold day in hell before I give a shit if Riot Games makes a profit. All I can say is that I will remember them, and think fondly of them, probably even years from now, and I will take some joy if I ever see them in-game. And that is what every video game cosmetic should want to aspire to. Anyway, that was all the sunshine and rainbows that I could muster this year. All the happy returns, all the nicest of the nice reviews. Like I've said, this wasn't a bad year for skins, at least not statistically, but if you're bored of all of this positivity and all of these compliments, well, stick around if you want, because the top 10 worst skins of 2025 is coming up next. Anyway, blah blah blah, like, comment, subscribe, and yada yada Patreon if you want to help me pay my editor who did the good editing work on this video. But honestly, if you have a little bit of extra money lying around right now, I would encourage you to give it to Doctors Without Borders or the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund instead. Even a couple of dollars can do a lot of good in their hands. Thank you for your time and your attention. Remember to be kind to one another. Have solidarity with those who are struggling. And may the tides of history wash gently over us all.